Hello, welcome back. And today I am redrawing. Doing a similar word for one of my projects, and so I'm tracing sort of an existing version because it doesn't do what I need it to do, and so I'm redrawing it to make it what I need. So I'm loosely going over it with differences. It's not anything near exact. It's just the basic style that I'm looking for, but I have to fix it. This is just part of how things are. And what I'm fixing here is the ability to make it colored where I want, and then I need to rescan it. So this is the first project I'm working on this morning, and then I'll have other projects this morning. Today I'm going to be hopefully drawing some bugs, and these are going to work with my Inktober. So you'll see that on the header for the video. So, I've heard from a lot of people, so doing work on paper with a pen, it's becoming less common. More people are working digitally and not using older tools. So it's a weird position for me. I grew up using these tools, trained on these tools, and I'm very comfortable knowing how to get things done. Now there are digital ways to do things, and I can do some of those, and I do some of those, but I will usually go back to what I know and trust. And like I said, I grew up using these techniques, so that's what you see from me most of the time here, is I'm doing old school work to get the job done in a timely manner. If I go to digital, then I end up usually having to fuss over things because they don't always do what I want in a way that I can access easily. So digital is new to me, and so I tend to be less comfortable with it in a lot of ways. Although this sketch that I'm doing right now, it will go through a digital process, and most of my art does. But in the generation of the art, I'm going to favor what I know and trust. And you should likely be doing the same, to trust what you know, what you're the most comfortable with. But I also encourage you to learn older processes where they can be helpful to you and actually save you time, and find easier ways to get the effect that you want. In this case, I feel like I want to use the color in this, and the font will not differentiate between the outline and the inside. So I'm gonna fix it. And so you're going to have those choices if you're doing any kind of across your life project work. You're going to run into, questions like this or situations that you have to sort out how you can work them out and solve them. And it's really just solving problems that you're deciding what you want for your project, whatever that is. And then you have to figure out the easiest way to get what you want and to have it look good. That's what I'm doing. Now, I could use my template and get my curves all exactly correct, etc., etc. But I kind of want the less perfect look. So I'm just simply going to freehand where it's close and go with it. Now this makes it faster for me, obviously, and it will give me a more handmade appearance, and I'm interested in both of those things. So I'm just going to give it that, and that gives me the basic what I was looking for. Now typically at this point I would scan this and save it, but I'm not that concerned. So I'm going to let's take to another tool here. I'm going to go to a color. No, it's really orange. Let me see if I can find more of a red. So I'm going to an alcohol marker. There we go, that's more red. And what I want is to add color while still being a little messy. And this is to show that we're coloring inside the lines, but not being perfect, which is exactly the effect that I want. And like I said, you can get there using digital, but for me, it's easy to be more direct. And so this is what I would call a more direct way to get there, is I'm literally creating what I want in really simple kind of terms. And I know how to achieve that effect using hand tools. And I think the other piece here is you need to know what you're trying for and why. And one of the things I mentioned is that I am looking for a loose, somewhat hand-done effect. So by doing it by hand, it's pretty easy for me to achieve that. And to some extent, it is real, is that this is hand-done. So while this is like the font that I used underneath, it's not the same, and none of the lines are accurate. It is similar to, but not the same. That can be important for you for various reasons. It's best to know what you're doing and where you're at in it. So in art, we borrow from each other all the time. In a sense, all artists are one collective artist, and their works cross over. We cannot divorce ourselves from what we see. If you go in a museum or gallery, you see art, and it goes into your head, and your brain never really forgets anything. And so later in your life, you'll make something, and there will be references from things you have seen elsewhere. Now, that doesn't mean you're stealing other people's stuff. It means that you are informed by all of your life experiences and what you see everywhere. So this is what I was looking for. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go back to this pen, and I'm going to draw a bug. And this is going to look a lot like a ladybug. And it's going to have spots and a big eye. And let's give it some antenna. And I'm going to give it a little feet here, feet here, feet here. And it's officially a bug. So I'm not being super anything. This is Inktober, and so I'm using the bug as sort of a placeholder for a dash if I were doing this as a letter. So we're going to go here and go here. Get little things there. And we're going to come and do this. And I'm doing another bug. And as you see, I am freehanding these little bugs because that's what I want. And again, I am going to, I think I'm going to add color, but not the same red. So I'm going to go back here to a lighter red and kind of just do this. Now this really is not anything precise, and I'm actually seeing some bleed over. But it gives a little pop of color, and that's all I want. It's not particularly important that it do anything. So that is the first part of this little project. So I'll take this away. So the next thing I'm going to work on today is more bugs. I am working on the Inktober is a sketchbook that I created, and I'm working on some stickers. This is going to be a sticker that a person can stick to their book if they want it or not. And then I'm going to create some bug stickers for them to use as well as part of the book. So if you buy the booklet, the sketchbook, then you can decorate it with these sketches, these stickers. So basically I want, let's go this way. I'm going to draw a circle, and we want sort of a pointy tail. And we want to look at a wing. Then again, I'm doing fake bugs. That's the best way to put it. These are bugs that don't exist in real life. In this, the way this looks, these are made up bugs. They look a lot like other bugs, but they're not supposed to be anything that we can actually find in nature. Now, I've done a lot of bugs. I've drawn a lot of bugs in my life. So I'm pretty familiar with how they tend to look, and they usually have big eyes. And they don't have like human eyes, they have bug eyes. And by that I mean that they tend to see from prism-like experiences. And what I mean is their eyeballs tend to be kind of cross-hatched with lots of little ability to see. And I want to have distinct antennae. And this particular bug is has some attitude. So I'm going to give him or her some human features that allow me to create expression. So bugs usually have 8 legs, so we're going to go with 8 legs. 1, 2, and so that means 3 on each side on the back, because they're flying around. Okay, so this is bug number 1. And I'm going to give bug number 1 little hands. And we'll make hands or feet. So this is bug number 1. And it's going to say, remember this is going to be a sticker. So we want to say, let's go here. So we're going to go to slant. So again, I want this to look sort of messy. Don't, and then okay, so it says don't bug me. All right, and so that's bug number 1, and bug number 2 is going to be even more anthropomorphized. Let's do it this way. Go with the big eyes. So I'm kind of doing this one head on. Now again, this one will go through a digital process. We're going to flesh it out a little bit more. And this one will say bug me. All right, good enough. Doesn't have to be spectacular. All right, so now I'll go about the process of outlining. And again, I want to look handmade, not like a professional font. And when you're making stickers, and I'm just learning how to make stickers right now, they have a white border that tells the cutting machine where it's cutting, and so you want to sort of plan for that. Here, make it a little bit more pointy. So this will come along and make a cutout around this, and so you want to be thoughtful of the needs of whatever your process is. Now I'm going to color these, so I'm mindful of that. So I'm going to go back to my marker here shortly. Do a little crosshatch for eyeballs. So I kind of want this bug to look a little grumpy. That's my intention. And so I'm kind of giving him distinct eyebrows, which bugs don't have. And heading toward that appearance. I guess you're wondering what's informing my decisions here. So I'm also trying to stay sort of simplified. And since this bug is not the happiest bug, I give it a pointy tail, and that assists me in saying something sharp. But I'm also trying to leave room for color. Now the wings on most bugs tend to look like, I always think they look a lot like church windows. Like stained glass. Some of them are really stunning. And again, I'm doing this very loose, very fast. I don't want to look fussy. So this is my bad, mean bug. Alright, now we're going to do our happier bug. Who I'm giving a somewhat heart face, broader eye mouth, so I'm going to stylize that a bit. Sort of like you want to look like a bug, but be a happier bug. And I'm doing this one sort of from the front. Go like this. So a lot of bugs have they have a head section and then a body section. And so I'm kind of staying with that, giving that one a pointy tail, which we may go like this. again, we're going to give her the wings. And then maybe I'll drape these back a little bit more. And again, I want to go with these sort of arched wings. A lot of insects are stunningly beautiful. We have strange relationships with bugs, and it's unfortunate in some ways. Seems like we're in the business of destroying them as nuisances, when really they're not they're not nuisances at all. They're kind of what keeps our planet alive. Anyway, so, all right, so we've got two bugs, and I'm going to say, bug me. And this is for the person with the notebook that likes to be interrupted, which is not me. I don't like being interrupted when I'm working. And then we're gonna go. Ooh, I did a W instead of an M. Alright. Doesn't really matter. People will still read it. Bugwy. Alright. That is that. Now I want this one to have some greens. And again, you see I'm doing that sketchy style, and that's intentional. Less is more. Now I could have, what I should have done here, and I didn't, was I could have scanned this and made a print. And on the print, so the toner or inkjet blends into the paper more than my ink does. So it would be safer for me to color on that kind of surface rather than what I'm doing here. And so if you're doing this, don't be like me. go ahead and scan your drawing in so you have a firm copy in black and white, that if you screw up you can come back in and do another. I happen to know that this is going to be okay. It's not that fussy, and that's how I'm approaching it. It's not that fussy. And so I'm kind of staying away from my black lines here. I'm just going close to them, but not really. I just want some color. I'm going to go blue here. And I'm using the same sort of palette. I'm not using all the colors that I have. I'm just using a couple. And that is also intentional. So you'll pick your palette. It says Bugwy. I'm finding that kind of amusing. Alright. Now what I'll probably do is just make these black. And again, kind of sketchy. And my font is sketchy. So these are all part of the same project. Alright, now we're going to do this bug. And this bug, I want to use a red for the word don't. Go to the green, and again I'm sticking in the same palette because these are all going to be in sort of one little package, and I want them to relate to each other so people can use them. And don't bug me. Okay, so this one, I want to go to the gray. And I'll do the legs in gray. So what I'm doing is sort of darkening the mood on this little guy compared to this one. And I'm gonna do the wings. Now, what I could be doing here is going to colored pencil because it would go over this ink fine. But I'm just sticking with my alcohol markers because I've got them on hand and that's what I'm doing. And again, I'm not being super careful. And we're going to go back to violet. So we're going to go go. Here you have it. This is 2 bugs and a label. And I'll bring you back on the next one. Bye.